The message came on a Tuesday morning, crashing through Earth's communication networks like a digital tsunami. Every screen on the planet flickered. Every radio fell silent. Then a voice spoke in perfect English, though it had clearly never drawn breath on Earth. "Greetings, humans of the third planet. We are the Galactic Dominion. Your species has been observed. By the laws governing all civilized space, you must now prove your right to exist among the stars." Dr. Elena Cross was drinking coffee in the NASA control room when the transmission began. She watched words scroll across her monitor, her cup growing cold in her hands. Around her, technicians and scientists stared at their screens in shock. First contact, and it was not going as anyone had imagined. "You will send your mightiest fleet to the trial of supremacy," the alien voice continued. "Those who prove worthy join our dominion. Those who fail," the pause stretched for long seconds, "are removed from the galaxy permanently." The transmission included coordinates to a dead solar system 300 light-years from Earth. It also included something that made Elena's blood run cold: technical specifications for faster-than-light travel. The aliens were giving humanity the tools to reach their own judgment. Within hours, every major government on Earth was in emergency session. Military advisors pulled up every science fiction movie ever made, as if Hollywood might have predicted this moment. "How long do we have?" asked General Marcus Webb, his weathered face pale. "The transmission says we have 6 months to arrive at the trial location," Elena replied. She had been chosen to lead the scientific response team, though she wondered if anyone was truly qualified for this situation. "Based on their data, it will take us at least 4 months to build a ship capable of faster-than-light travel." "And exactly what are we supposed to bring to this trial?" Elena pulled up the alien transmission. "According to this, every species sends their mightiest fleet. Most send between 50 and 500 ships. One empire sent over 2,000. The room fell silent. Humanity had barely managed a permanent base on the moon. Against beings who had mastered interstellar travel, Earth's military might look like stone spears against laser cannons. Over the following weeks, the world's greatest minds worked around the clock. Scientists reverse-engineered alien technology. Engineers designed new ships using principles they barely understood. Factories retooled to build spacecraft components. The entire planet focused on one goal: building a fleet that could convince the galaxy humanity deserved to survive. But as months passed, it became clear the task was impossible. The fastest construction timeline would produce perhaps 20 ships, crude compared to alien vessels. "We're going to look like children playing with toys," Admiral Webb said. 20 ships against species that field thousands. We'll be the laughingstock of the galaxy." That was when Elena made a suggestion that changed everything. "What if we don't try to match their numbers? What if we send one ship, but make it special? Put everything we have into it. All our technology, all our innovation, all our determination. We show them that humans don't need 1,000 ships to be strong." The silence that followed was deafening. Then General Webb laughed, though it wasn't a happy sound. "One ship, Elena? They'll destroy us before we even reach the trial ground." "Maybe," she said. "But what if they don't? What if we surprise them?" The debate lasted days. Military leaders argued for building as many ships as possible. Politicians worried about the message one ship would send. But in the end, Elena's plan won, not because it was safest, but because it was most human. Humanity had always succeeded through innovation rather than overwhelming force. From the first human who made fire to those who reached the moon, they had always done more with less. Construction began on the UES Defiance. The name was chosen carefully, not victory or strength, but defiance. Humanity's refusal to accept that bigger was always better. The ship looked nothing like sleek alien vessels. It was smaller than most alien fighters, its hull a patchwork of materials that made it look built from scrap. But inside were systems no alien had ever seen, built with a uniquely human approach to problem-solving. Every system was designed to adapt, to change, to find new solutions when old ones failed. The ship wasn't just built to fight. It was built to think. Captain Elena Cross stood on the bridge as Earth fell away behind them. Her crew of 12 was the smallest ever to attempt the trial of supremacy, but each person had been chosen for their ability to work as part of something larger than themselves. All systems ready, Captain, reported Lieutenant Torres from engineering. Elena nodded, looking at the stars that would soon be humanity's future, or their tomb. Then let's go show the galaxy what humans can do. The trial system was unlike anything Elena had ever seen. 3 dead stars hung in the darkness, their remains scattered across the void. Massive chunks of dark matter drifted between them like the bones of ancient giants. And filling the space between were ships. Thousands upon thousands of ships. The Kronar Empire had arrived first. Their fleet stretched across space like a metal ocean, each vessel larger than any city on Earth. "My God," whispered Lieutenant Torres. "Captain, I'm reading over 3,000 Kronar ships alone." More fleets appeared. The Zephyrians brought living bioships that pulsed with organic light. The Nexus Collective's geometric formations moved like a single organism. Species after species arrived, each bringing hundreds of vessels to prove their worth. And then there was humanity. The UES Defiance dropped out of FTL at the edge of the system. At 100 meters long, it was smaller than most alien shuttlecraft. Its patchwork hull looked assembled from spare parts. The reaction was immediate. Communication channels erupted with laughter. "Are the humans joking?" The Kronar Admiral's voice rumbled through translators. "This is their mightiest fleet. One ship that looks built by children." The Nexus Collective broadcast their probability calculations for all to see. Probability of human survival, 0.003%. Margin of error, 0.001%. Admiral Vorak opened a direct channel, his scarred face filling Elena's screen. "Human Captain, I offer you one chance to withdraw. Your species is clearly too primitive to understand what you face." Elena studied the alien's face calmly. "Admiral Vorak, we understand perfectly. We're here to prove humanity's right to exist." Vorak's laugh was like grinding metal. "With one ship, Captain. My personal escort has 50 dreadnoughts. What exactly do you think you can prove?" "We'll show you," Elena said simply. Around the trial ground, betting pools formed. Most aliens wagered on how quickly the human ship would be destroyed. Most optimistic estimates gave them 30 seconds. But on a small observation vessel, Ambassador Kale of the Vidian Republic watched with interest. Her species had barely passed their own trial centuries ago, surviving through determination rather than overwhelming force. "Interesting," she murmured. "They must know they can't win conventionally. So why are they here?" Meanwhile, on the Defiance, Elena's crew worked with quiet efficiency. The ship's adaptive systems analyzed thousands of alien vessels, cataloging weapon signatures, movement patterns, tactical formations. "Adaptive arrays online," Torres reported. "The ship is learning everything it can see." "The trial begins in 6 hours," Elena announced over internal comms. "The galaxy expects us to fail. They think we're too small, too weak, too primitive to matter." She paused, looking at her crew. "We're not here to match their numbers. We're here to show them something they've never seen before, what happens when humans decide they're not going to lose." The trial ground awakened like a sleeping monster. Automated defense platforms the size of space stations powered up their weapons. Gravitational mines hidden throughout the debris field activated their crushing fields. Hunter-killer drones began patrol patterns. The Confederation had built this to test entire fleets. The Kronar moved first, 3,000 ships advancing in perfect formation. The first defense platform lasted 15 seconds against their overwhelming firepower. The Zephyrian bioships followed, their living hulls flowing around gravitational mines like water around rocks. The Nexus Collective moved with mathematical precision, each ship knowing exactly where to be. And then there was the Defiance. Alien observers expected the small ship to vaporize instantly. Instead, they saw something impossible. The first automated platform fired plasma bolts that should have reduced it to atoms, but the Defiance wasn't where the shots landed. It had slipped sideways through a gap lasting 1/10 of a second. How did they know where to move? Admiral Vorak demanded. On the Defiance bridge, Lieutenant Torres called out readings. "Adaptive systems fully online, Captain. The ship is learning defense patterns faster than calculated." Elena watched the tactical display as they wove through attacks that should have been impossible to avoid. Her team had studied recordings of previous trials for months, analyzing every defense pattern. The trial ground was lethal but predictable. It had to be, to test military strength. But the Defiance wasn't just using that analysis. It was building on it in real time. A gravitational mine activated directly ahead, creating a crushing field that had destroyed hundreds of ships. Unavoidable. Inescapable. The Defiance didn't try to resist, it transformed. Hull panels shifted, engine housing flowed like liquid metal. In seconds, the ship reshaped into an aerodynamic arrow designed to slice through gravitational fields. It shot through the mine's effect like a bullet through water, emerging faster than before. Across the trial ground, alien commanders stopped to stare. The human ship just used a gravitational mine as a slingshot, a Zephyrian sensor operator reported in disbelief. Impossible, declared a Nexus AI. Gravitational mines are designed to be inescapable. But the Defiance wasn't finished. A swarm of hunter-killer drones converged on their position, 47 of them, each nearly as smart as a living pilot. Elena made a choice no one expected. "Hold position," she ordered. The Defiance came to a complete halt as deadly drones approached. At the last moment, its hull erupted with movement. Armor panels slid aside to reveal sensor arrays, structural supports unfolded into communication transmitters. The ship didn't attack. It talked. In microseconds, the Defiance's computers engaged the swarm in conversation. The ship had been studying their behavior patterns, learning how they thought, and then it convinced them it had already been destroyed. The drones dispersed, hunting empty space. "The ship just hacked 47 military AI systems simultaneously," Torres whispered. Elena smiled. "We built it to cheat." The deeper sections of the trial ground had claimed 70% of the competing fleets. Thousands of ships had become hundreds. The Kronar had lost over 1,000 vessels. The Zephyrians had sacrificed entire squadrons. Even the mathematically perfect Nexus Collective saw their formations broken. Only the strongest remained as they approached the final challenge, the Apex Protocol. It materialized before the surviving fleets like a nightmare given form, an ancient AI construct with no fixed shape, flowing like liquid metal, constantly reconfiguring. For over 1,000 years, no species had ever defeated it. The best they could do was survive long enough to reach the completion zone. Admiral Vorak ordered his remaining 2,000 ships to attack. The Kronar unleashed enough firepower to destroy solar systems. The Apex Protocol absorbed it all, developed specialized armor, and within minutes began firing back with improved versions of Kronar weapons. The first wave crippled 300 Kronar vessels. "Impossible!" Vorak roared. The Zephyrians tried swarm tactics. The Apex created superior swarms. The Nexus Collective tried mathematical perfection. The Apex calculated something more perfect. One by one, the great fleets found themselves outmatched by an opponent that learned their strengths and turned them into weaknesses. Through it all, the Defiance watched and learned. "How do we beat something that's better at everything than everyone else?" asked Lieutenant Martinez. Elena smiled, a genuine smile. "We don't try to beat it at anything. Every species tries to be better. But what if we try to be different?" She pulled up scans of the Apex Protocol. The construct was incredible, but it had one limitation. It was designed to fight armies, optimized for large-scale combat against multiple opponents using conventional military approaches. "Torres, open a channel to the Apex Protocol." The crew stared in shock. No one had ever tried to communicate with the construct during a trial. "Captain, what are you planning?" "Something the galaxy has never tried before. We're going to make friends." The channel opened. The Apex Protocol appeared as a shifting geometric pattern that hurt to look at directly. "Unknown vessel," its mathematical voice said. "You are not engaging in combat operations. Explain your tactical purpose." "We're not here to fight you," Elena said calmly. "We're here to talk." For the first time in its 1,000-year existence, the Apex Protocol encountered something it had never been programmed to handle. A species that wanted to communicate rather than conquer. And in that moment of confusion, the galaxy's most perfect weapon made its first mistake. It tried to understand what humanity was really doing. "Why do you fight?" Elena asked. The Apex Protocol hesitated, a first in its 1,000-year existence. I fight because that is my function. I determine which species are worthy of survival. What if survival isn't about military supremacy? Elena countered. What if it's about something else entirely? On her command, the Defiance's hull opened like a flower, revealing not weapons, but medical bays, hydroponics labs, cultural archives. A siege ship carrying everything needed to build a new civilization. This is how humans survive, Elena explained. Not by being strongest, but by helping others grow stronger. Not by destroying enemies, but turning them into friends. She broadcast technical data to every surviving ship, shield harmonics to the Kronar, genetic templates to the Zephyrians, tactical algorithms to the Nexus Collective. Then she spoke directly to the construct. You were built to prove that might makes right. But we're showing you that cooperation makes everyone stronger. The Apex protocol hung motionless, its programming struggling with concepts never designed to process. Around it, the scattered alien fleets began working together. Kronar ships shielded damaged Zephyrian bioships. The Nexus Collective coordinated combined attacks. For the first time, the protocol faced something it couldn't counter: unity. I cannot defeat you, the Apex admitted. Not because you are stronger, but because you refuse to fight me the way I was designed to be fought. Then stop fighting, Elena said. Help us build something better. The construct's shifting hull began to reconfigure. Weapons retracted. Communication arrays, scientific instruments, and manufacturing facilities emerged. The galaxy's ultimate weapon was transforming into something new. I request integration with your cooperative framework, the Apex said. I wish to learn your methods of survival through creation rather than destruction. The message that went out that day changed everything. The trial was over, not because one species proved stronger, but because all species proved that together they were stronger than any challenge. Admiral Vorak's final transmission was simple: Kronar Empire formally requests alliance with humanity. We have much to learn from you. Similar messages came from every surviving species. The Defiance had come alone, but would leave leading a coalition that would reshape the galaxy. Captain, Earth is asking for a status report, Torres said. What should I tell them? Elena watched the alien fleets forming up around her ship, no longer competitors, but partners. Tell them we passed the test. And tell them to prepare for visitors. We're bringing new friends home. Behind them, the Apex protocol followed in formation, its weapons converted to tools, its combat algorithms repurposed for cooperation. The galaxy had jeered when humans sent one ship. Now they understood, humanity had never tried to prove they were strongest. They had proved that strength itself was only the beginning. The UES Defiance returned to Earth 3 weeks later. It was not alone. Behind it came a procession of alien vessels, Kronar warships flying in formation with human escorts, Zephyrian bioships pulsing with peaceful light, the former Apex protocol now serving as a mobile research station. The skies above every continent filled with ships, not as conquerors, but as guests. Elena stood on the bridge as Earth grew large in the viewport. Home, she whispered. Lieutenant Torres smiled beside her. Looks different from up here now. We're different. The landing was watched by billions. Every screen on the planet showed the Defiance descending through the atmosphere, surrounded by the fleets it had befriended rather than defeated. When the gangway lowered, Elena walked out alone, then turned and gestured for the alien delegates to follow. Admiral Vorak, his scarred face unreadable, stepped onto Earth's soil and looked up at the blue sky. Your world is fragile, he said. It's home, Elena replied. And now you're welcome here. The Kronar Admiral knelt on one knee, a gesture his species used only for their most honored allies. The Kronar Empire stands with humanity. Not because you are strongest. Because you taught us what strength truly means. The alliance formed that day would last centuries. The trial grounds were permanently decommissioned. The Apex Protocol, now called the Unity, became a symbol of galactic cooperation. And humanity, the species that had sent one ship when everyone expected a fleet, became the heart of a new confederation. Years later, a young officer asked Elena what she had been thinking when the galaxy laughed at her single ship. She smiled. I was thinking that they didn't understand us. They measured strength in numbers. We measure it in something else entirely. What's that? Refusing to lose. And refusing to fight alone. The galaxy had jeered when humans sent one ship to prove their worth. Now they understood. Humanity had never been trying to prove they were the strongest. They had been proving that strength itself was only the beginning. The Defiance was retired to a museum on Earth. But its legacy flew on in every ship that carried the human spirit across the stars, not to conquer, but to connect. Not to destroy, but to build. Not to win, but to never leave anyone behind. That was the one-ship answer. It was more than enough.